Alright, so welcome back to the channel. You thinking about joining the Marines? Or parents, you have a child that's thinking about joining the Marines? Well, I'm not going to make a long video about this, but if you really want to know what to expect as a recruit, if you yourself are joining, or a parent, you really want to know what's going to happen, well, I'm going to try to make this quick and to the point and give you as much information as I possibly can. First thing, everybody please watch the documentary, Ears Open, Eyeballs Click. You can even look it up on YouTube. The entire documentary is on YouTube. I made some shorts on my channel. If you want to scroll through my shorts, they are titled Real Marines versus Full Metal Jacket. So, first thing is, why did I join the Marines? Well, I was a teenager, hanging out with some ish-head people doing ish-head things, getting ready to go down an ish-head road life. So, I said, I need to straighten myself out. I don't want to be a loser. Something in me tells me I'm not destined to grow up to be a loser. And I'm going to shape myself up by joining the military. And I'm going to do it by the best ones, which means the worst and the hardest recruit training there is. That's the Marines. So, I was in the 90s. Won't say exactly when. But the first thing I can tell you is Full Metal Jacket is a good movie. It's a great movie. And those of you who watch my shorts and, you know, the comments about R. Lee Ermey, yes, he was a real drill instructor in the real Marines. And was an awesome actor and one cool, badass dude. But what I'm the shorts I made about Real Marines versus Full Metal Jacket is it's kind of in the shorts. Like, for example, Full Metal Jacket is one drill instructor, whereas in the Real Marines, there's 5 drill instructors. I just showed some similarities in clips between the pugil sticks, the runs, etc. But basically, don't watch Full Metal Jacket, potential recruit, or parent who wants to know what's really going to happen. It's Hollywood, it is acting. Some people that watch my shorts said it was a different time era, but it's not accurate, and it didn't take place on Paris Island or Camp Pendleton. The movie was filmed, I think, in France. So don't watch Full Metal Jacket to get an idea of what recruit training is going to be like. Watch Ears Open, Eyeballs Click. Potential recruit, parent, get your blood pressure cuff out. Your blood pressure is going to increase significantly. You're going to be stressed out just watching this thing. Your heart rate's going to be up. You're going to be thinking, dear God, this can't be real, when you see these drill instructors and what they put their recruits through. So, that's accurate. I will attest to that documentary from start to finish. Every step of the way is 100% dead balls accurate. So, my recommendations, if you go into the Marines, one of them is, unless you go to college and get commissioned, what are you going to do when you get out of the Marines? Now, I'm not trashing any profession beyond this. You're going to be a cop, you're going to be a fireman, you're going to be a security person. What are you going to do, okay? Unless you go to college and get commissioned. Second, I want the parents and the recruits to understand, you know, try not to get too political, but it's apparently obvious. Just know you are government property, and historically and currently, your government runs experiments on you, okay? World War II, when they were testing atomic bombs, just look up some of those. They knew darn well that that was going to have an effect on the military personnel that were standing somewhere in the vicinity when they were testing these nuclear bombs. They've tested shots and vaccines on military personnel. Just know that your government will do whatever they want with you, and they run experiments on you. So that's one thing to consider. The third, because the first one is, what are you going to do when you get out? Another one is, I don't really care about getting too political, because unless you have shut your eyes and ears and you refuse to see and listen to the obvious, your government will have you fight wars for their political interests. Okay, so if there's a bunch of drunk dudes down the street and they get in a fight, they live in your neighborhood, and they get in a fight, they got beef over something that happened at the pool, and one breaks out a knife and starts stabbing the other one, you gonna get involved? Maybe, but maybe not. It's not your war. It's not your problem. And how do you even know which one started it? You could be jumping in and helping the person that's trying to kill the other person, who's the assailant trying to get the victim. You don't know. So my question is, just think about this. Why in God's name are we going to other countries to fight their wars and get killed when we're not being attacked? It doesn't make any sense to me, and I'll just leave it at that. So just know you can go to war and die, basically for a war that did not impact our country. We're just trying to help some people out that our politicians have an interest in. So, more advice I can give you. If you get into recruit training, need you to understand everything they do is on a schedule. So I was 1st Battalion, Charlie Company, right across from the parade deck. Every Thursday they graduate recruits, and that was the most depressing thing, to stand online and look out that window and see Marines and their deltas graduating, and here we are on week 3. So, what I mean by everything's on a schedule. So I was Charlie Company, I was middle deck in 1st Battalion, and there's, Alpha and Bravo. So we're a 3-level squad bay, if you will, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie Company. So if you are just sitting there, you're on your foot lockers, the drill instructor's giving you some kind of instructions, and you're shining your boots, all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose above you. You hear the drill instructors freaking out, slamming stuff, and then all of a sudden, that whole platoon is running outside, getting in the sand pit. Mentally, because you can't do this physically, they'll kill you, is just think in your head and just laugh and say, here it comes, 10, 9, 8. One of your drill instructors will then find something that pissed them off, and they're going to start freaking out on all of you. And the next thing you know, your whole platoon is going to be outside in the sand pits. And then the one below you, it's everything they do is on a schedule. So also just know that it's not like the Army or the Navy. You will not have weekends off. You will not have nights off. You don't even have Sundays off. Sundays are you either go to church or you're sitting in the squad bay PTing with a drill instructor who's pissed off they got to be there and not be there with their family. I recommend going to church. Pick a religion. It doesn't matter. So that's like 2 or 4 hours, one day a week, where you're not off. You can't smoke. You can't look at magazines. You can't make a phone call home. It's basically prison life. So it is 7 days a week of relentless, absolute freaking stress and hell. And it doesn't let up. And you have your senior drill instructor who's basically more like the dad, but you will have the fear of God in them too. And then you have what's called your heavy. Your heavy is the one that just hates all of you. They want to kill you. They want you dead. You all suck. None of you is good enough for anything. And you just hate when they are on duty. So the reason why there's always extremely high stress, kind of easy to figure out, because that's what combat is like. And so they basically get you ready for combat. They don't really want cooks. They don't really want psychiatrists, psychologists. In the Marines, they say all we want is killers. It doesn't matter what your MOS is or whatever the hell they call it now, whatever your job, the thing you enlisted to do. They want killers. A war, a battle is not going to be something that's pleasant and a couple gunshots. So everything they do is for a reason. So I need you to remember that mentally, because mentally, that's the hardest part. In one ear and out the other, unless it's an order, okay? It's their job. It's just their job. It's nonstop screaming. They put their hands on us as well. I thought that went away, but I have people that watch my shorts that say, no, they still put their hands on us now in the late 2000s, whatever the hell it is. So just know, they're breeding Marines for a reason. I hear rumors about things going on now that I don't agree with, where they've softened it up a lot. I don't know. I was in the 90s. But also just know, as a recruit, everything they do is for a reason. It's always going to be high stress. You do not have time off. But just know that everything they do and say to you and screaming and trashing and knocking your beds over, kicking your foot lockers, yeah, they're just gonna destroy your life. They're doing it because they wanna see what you can take as far as stress. Pretty much, you can't quit recruit training, okay? All you'll do is get recycled and recycled. There's, if they still have it, there's what's called MRP, Medical Reprocessing Platoon, because you got injured. There's PCP, we called it the Pork Chop Platoon, because usually it was the overweight people that went there because they couldn't make runs, but that's called the Physical Conditioning Platoon. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into drops and pickups, but basically we started out with 68 recruits of Platoon 1085 when I started, and if we didn't have pickups, which basically means you got hurt or whatever, you failed, and you went to one of those holding cell platoons until you were ready, and they pick you up with a different platoon where you left off, okay? You don't get to quit recruit training. They will recycle you until you make it. The only way you don't make it is if it's something mental. Something's wrong. So that's part of what they're testing you for, is your mental capacity. Just please, if you're going in, and parents just understand, when you meet the drill instructors on graduation day, they're going to be just like me. They're just going to be talking to you. You can be like, wow. And even you, the recruit, you're like, wow, they're just a normal person. One of the drill instructors in the movie, the documentary Ears Open, Eyeballs Click, his name is Staff Sergeant Nichols. When you watch him in Ears Open, Eyeballs Click, he is an absolute monster. Scares the crap out of you. Go to his channel. He has, what is it called? FN45 is like a exercise thing that he does now. Just watch him now. He talks to his kid. Hey, Dad, why'd you join the Marines? He's just talking like me. You're like, what a difference. Okay, it's their job. They're acting. When they put that cover on, they're a different person, and they have to be. Don't let it get to you. Don't. We had one person that did get out in my platoon right at the rifle range. Well, maybe that's a Full Metal Jacket thing when, Gomer Pyle lost himself. But long story short, when you're standing at attention, you're locked, you're like this, and you're straight, and you're on line, standing at attention. All right. So I went in with this recruit right around rifle range time. We just noticed he was standing on line like this, and everybody obviously caught note of that. So come rifle range, this was the only time a drill instructor was civil with me, and it was my heavy. He pulled me aside, and he's like, hey, recruit, you're friends with so-and-so. Aye, sir. He just asked me, do you notice anything different about him? Any concerns? Do you think he should be allowed to have a rifle right now? And so, of course, in my, sir, this recruit has a question regarding your, a follow-up to your question, sir. Anyway, so what I asked him was, why are you asking me? You're the professional type deal. I said, but I do notice these things. I am concerned about him. I just don't know. I don't think he's in a good state right now. And they walked him off the firing line, and we never saw him again. So just know a lot of it is a mental game. What I did, there was 2 songs. I'll even tell you what the songs were. Well, actually, in boot camp, recruit training, it was the song Hazard by Richard Marx. All the chaos, and I'm standing at attention online, just all hell is breaking loose, mattresses are flying at me, foot lockers are being slammed against the wall. I just kept listening to that song in my head, staring out the window, and aye, sir, yes, sir. It helps, okay? So I'm already at 14 minutes right now. I'm gonna try to shave off some of this. Be the loudest. Everything you do, whether they say, recruit, come up to my quarterdeck. You scream the loudest. When you're doing drill and they say drive those heels to the deck, make that frickin' sole of your boot come off. And they'll even say, they told us, this is obviously smaller than the A2s we use, that when you're doing drill and when you're doing some of the commands like, port arms, present arms, when you grab this forearm, they want you to break it. Okay, everything you do is with extreme, crisp, sharp intensity. That's how you get ahead. Don't do any of this Mickey Mouse stuff where you're not sounding off and you're standing at attention. They go, oh, Dan, huh, and you're just going and sagging and stuff like that. And do not slouch. Do not stand like this, and do not bounce when you're marching. Don't do it. All hell will break loose for you. There's some of my tips. Once you get out, no, you're not going to be the same person. You're just not. I'm not the same person. Yeah, I'm not saying you become some paranoid person and you become some Rambo person, but you're not going to be the same. I'm just being honest with you, and parents just know that. You as a recruit, when you graduate, and as a parent, just know your kid's not going to be the same person when they come home. They're going to walk differently, talk differently. They're going to behave differently. I'm not saying it's bad because they teach you a lot of respect, but you're going to be a different person. And just know that there is residual from some of the stress. Yeah, I'm not saying, everyone becomes a drug addict or alcoholic. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying certain things will just trigger you once in a while. Not to say all of a sudden you duck and cover. I'm just giving you slight examples. When you hear a bunch of yelling, it kind of puts you in a mental state. Let's say there's just people in a bar fight and they're yelling. That's when you were told to focus. That was your whole job as a recruit, was to focus during chaos. So let's say you're out with your wife or your husband and you just hear a bunch of dudes. Most people are like, oh my God, they're yelling, and then they freak out. You'll be calm, but you'll snap into a certain character. I'm just giving you examples like that. So anyway, I hope this helps. If you're interested in more, if you're an adult and you're interested in more other things on my channel, mechanics, guns, ammunition, because maybe you're new to this as well, feel free to check out everything else. But other than that, that's my advice, and that's the best I can tell you. Semper Fi. Yeah.